have 4 periods, 4 na periods for the semester. Ngayon, yung 4 periods na yan will consist of prelims, midterms, pre-finals, and final exams. So 4 periods. Each period shall have 25% ng grade. Okay? Yung 25% ng grade, bawat period, will be composed of 15% yung course output ninyo. Ano yung course output? Yun yung attendance ninyo rito, yung participation ninyo sa klase. Halimbawa, kapag nag-uusap, nagtatanong ako sa inyo, sumasagot kayo, at and also kapag kayong may mga tanong kayo, hindi kayo nahihiya na magtanong, either nagtatanong kayo by through your microphone or through the chat. So, I appreciate questions, clarifications. So, meron tayong 15% yun, yung course output. Okay? And then 5% yung quizzes na ibibigay ko sa inyo. So, how are we going to have quizzes? It's easy. We're going to have quizzes. We're going to have quizzes by way of Schoology. This time, wala pa tayong Schoology, but we're going to have Schoology later on. So, doon ko sa Schoology bibigay. In the meantime, habang walang Schoology, I am going to find a way to give you quizzes na hindi ninyo pagkokopyahan. Okay? So, walang paraan para magkopyahan. Saka bawal yun, di ba? Pangit naman. Ano na kayo college na kayo, kopyahan pa. Hindi bagay. Okay? And then, another 5% major examinations. So, yung major examinations ninyo, sigurado yon sa Schoology natin gagawin. So, let us pray now. In the name of the Father, Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Holy Spirit, amen.
God, our loving Father, we thank you for this day that you have guided us into this meeting. Please help us as we embark in our self-understanding so that in doing so, we may be able to discover that you really love us and that you are also present not just in our hearts but in the presence of other people. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son,
Okay.
Okay, so I officially welcome you to Understanding the Self. So we move on with our discussion. I am going to share with you our module, okay? So instead of a PowerPoint, what I am going to show you is the module. So that when you read the module, it will help you to understand kung ano yung binabasa ninyo, okay? So just wait for a moment. I am screen sharing. Okay. Yan. So, ito yung ano natin, ano? This is our tandaan ninyo, this is our meeting link. Okay? Bit.ly Serlito para hindi nyo makakalimutan. Okay, yan. Bilugan ko. Yan, bit.ly. HTTP bit.ly Serlito. Ngayon, subukan ninyo na kapag mag-enter kayo para hindi na kayo mag-ano, ipasok nyo na lang yung passcode 2AWBDA. Baka makapasok kayo nang hindi ko na kailangang i-admit. Okay? So, for this module number 1, for this week, ang topic natin, I will introduce the subject. So, lahat ng topic na pag-uusapan natin sa buong semester, bibigay ko sa inyo lahat. And then, I will introduce to you kung ano yung psychology and ano ang role ng psychology sa understanding the self or self-understanding. And then we shall discuss the quest of understanding the self in human history, how in human history man has tried to understand himself in many different fields of studies and in many endeavor. Okay, and then ito you will understand later the transition from mythos to logos, and then the first empirical attempts in understanding the self, the first scientific ones, or the first scientific attempts in understanding the self. Okay. Oops. Oops. Bakit lumiit? Okay. Nababasa nyo ng buo? Ayan. Ayan. Okay. So, itong subject na understanding the self, wait lang meron na sa waiting room. This subject, understanding the self, used to be general psychology. Dati sa college, ang subject na general psychology ang ino-offer instead of understanding the self. In a way, ang general psychology is a very nice subject. Actually, I am teaching that subject. I have been teaching that subject since I started teaching. I started teaching in BSU and then later on in St. Paul University, Quezon City. And then today, dito ako sa Yanga as an assistant professor and chairman of academic affairs in the College of Arts and Sciences. And I also teach in senior high school. Now, medyo hinaan ko na yung boses ko ha. Nadidinig nyo pa naman ako kahit mahina.
Yes, sir.
Opo.
Kanina kasi sumisigaw ako Akala ko nasa classroom ako na maingay. Na gastos tuloy yung lalamunan. Anyway, adjustment. Okay? Konting adjustment. So itong subject na ito, dating general psychology. Ngayon, nakita ng CHED na mas mainam i-incorporate ang ibang mga sciences katulad ng sociology, anthropology, at iba pang mga logies, archaeology sa subject na ito. Bakit? Kasi in general psychology, kaya tinuturo 'yon is for us to be enabled to enable the students to understand themselves, to know others and to know themselves and to know others for a better relationship and healthy self relationship to the self. However, sayang naman yung okay sana, kaya lang sayang naman yung itinuturo ng other social sciences. Ito. Some social sciences can offer, such as yun nga anthropology, such as sociology. So ang ginawa ay pinagsama-sama lahat ng mga topic na may kinalaman sa understanding the self kasama ang general psychology, and CHED came up with this new subject, understanding the self. So this is actually going to be not just psychology, but also sociology. This is also going to be anthropology and others, but more on general psychology. Now, what I did is that nung binasa ko yung textbook, nasan ba yung textbook? Nung binasa ko yung textbook, here is the textbook. Ayan. Oops, hindi niyo makita. Ayan.
Di ba kita, sir?
Ayan, ayan. Kita na?
Wala po.
Ayan, oh. Hindi pa rin?
Apa.
Kita na.
Wala pa po.
Hindi, di ba din na. Okay, so yung libro na Understanding the Self, kung makita ko, parang naliitan ako, na kontingan ako. Parang sabi ko, parang hindi enough. No? Sabi ko,
Nasan po kayo?
ha?
Jack, hingaan niyo yung sound.
Nasan po kayo?
Ako?
Opo.
Sa kwarto ko. Nandito ako sa kwarto ko. Bakit?
Wala po, wala.
Hindi, tell me, bakit ninyo natanong kung nasan ako?
May background po kasi.
Okay. Ito ay kinunan ko pero background ko pa rin yan. Okay? Ayan, no, tingnan ninyo.
Ano yan? Ha?
Kita nyo? Mga libro ko talaga yon. Ayan, higaan ko. Hindi ko pa nalipit. Okay na ba? So, ginawa kong background yung mga libro ko. Kasi ito ay semento lang. Anyway, so nakapasok na kayo sa kwarto ko. So all the good things that are in other sciences, we incorporated here in the subject Understanding the Self. Now, nung binasa ko yung libro, I noticed that it was not so substantial. This book, okay? This book was not so substantial. So what I did was I incorporated the more topics in psychology. Meron kasi akong libro na sinulat na sa General Introduction to Psychology noong nagtuturo pa ako ng psychology. So what I did is that I incorporated what was in that book to the textbook na gagamitin natin para mas comprehensive. Ngayon nalaman ko that you will not be required anymore to buy the textbook, and that's fine with me. Mas okay nga yun eh. Because the module that I wrote is quite comprehensive already. If you will see it and if you're going to read the module, there are some modules that are about almost 50 pages. And then some are of the average. In the average, merong mga 20 pages. So, at saka maraming mga web link sa mga topic. Okay? So, all the modules that we are going to discuss here are the following. So, makikita natin yung modules 1, 2, and 3. Modules 1, 2, and 3 will discuss more about philosophy. Okay? It will discuss more about philosophy. Modules 1, 2, and 3. So more on philosophy ito, and then the rest would be general introduction to psychology plus special topics about self-understanding. So today, I will introduce the subject. I will tell you how important it is to understand the self. And then I will guide you in our voyage through understanding the self in human history. So titignan natin how in human history man has strived to try to understand himself. And then, when did we transition from mga kwento-kwento lang, from mythos, and then to a more scientific understanding, from mythos to logos, and then the first empirical attempts in understanding the self, which was done by the first pre-Socratic philosophers, or the philosophers in the before Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Okay, so Module 2 will continue with the self in the various perspectives of philosophers. This will talk more about the Socratic philosophers, the Socratic ones. Where's my pen? Oh, nawawala yung pen ko. Sandali Ayun, nahulog. So here in this part, we are going to discuss the Socratic philosophers. Sino sila? Si Socrates, si Plato, at saka si Aristotle. Kilala nyo sila? Do you know them?
Opo.
Yeah, very good.
Yes, sir.
Nag-aralan nyo yan sa sa philosophy of man di ba? Okay.
Grade 12 po.
Module 3, magpapatuloy tayo sa mga philosophers. Dito naman, yung mga medieval philosophers, medieval, and then modern, and then contemporary philosophers. So, sino ba yung mga medieval? Yung mga santo, tulad ni Saint Thomas Aquinas, Saint Augustine. Sila yung mga medieval philosophers. They tried to incorporate faith and reason. Ang mga modern philosophers, hindi itong, pag sinabi nating modern, hindi yung ngayon. The period of modernity was during the 1600s, 1700s. Yun ang period of modernity. Sila, nagsimula ang modern period kila René Descartes, Immanuel Kant, David Hume, yan. So, we are going to try to explore how they view the human person during the modern period, and then in the contemporary period, which is represented by philosophers in this time, okay, 20th century to the 21st century. So, such as Maurice Merleau-Ponty. Okay, so yon. Then module 4, we are going to turn to science. Excuse me. We're going to turn to science. What do I mean? We are going to study the different parts of the body, particularly the nervous system, okay, the brain. Okay, the brain. How the human brain can affect our temperament, how the human brain, the health of the human brain can affect our personality and our moods, okay? So we're going to talk about nervous system in general, the human nervous system. Ano ba yung human nervous system? When we talk about the human nervous system, we are referring to the brain, to the spinal cord. So those are the two major parts of the human nervous system. Hindi brain and heart brain and cord. Yung heart, teka, ano yan, circulatory system yun. Huwag niyong pagsabihin. Pwede pa nga isama yung digestive system Pero, kasi yung digestive system natin is greatly influenced by the human nervous system. Okay? And the digestive system can actually influence also the human nervous system. So, ang tawag doon ay enteric nervous system. And other physiological factors, your health in general, can affect your personality, your behavior. So, it is very important that we learn this. So, dito sa Module 4, I expect that you would be familiar with the different parts of the brain. Pag-aaralan natin yan. So, sana may mag-volunteer na ipahiram yung utak nila, and then we're going to dissect. Ayan, si Baron payag yata, Baron Francis Bernardo. Pahiram ng utak at i-dissect natin. Ibabalik din naman namin. Babalik namin, promise. Okay. Hindi ko lang alam kung tama ang magiging pagbalik. Okay, and then we have in Module 5, we're going to discover how our emotions can affect our actions. Alam niyo, napakalaki ng epekto ng emotion sa ginagawa natin. Alam niyo ba na without emotions, we are not going to do anything. Yeah, we will not be motivated to do anything because it is the wellspring of initiative, our emotion. If you do not feel any passion about what you are doing, hindi mo gagawin yan eh. Okay, halimbawa itong araw na ito, no? I started talking to 280 plus students in senior high school this morning. So I had an audience of almost 300 senior high school. And then after that, I met BSBA 1A and then kayo naman. Mamaya, imimit ko naman ang 1B, BSBA 1B. And then mamayang gabi, imimit ko yung BSHM 1B. Pagdating siguro mamayang gabi, wala na akong boses. Kaya medyo nagbabawas na ako ng salita ngayon ng volume. Well, anyway, what I'm just trying to say is that our emotion, our passion fuels our action. Kung hindi ko gusto at kung hindi ko talaga type ang pagtuturo, hindi ko gagawin ito because this is very difficult. Alam nyo, bago tayo dumating dito sa punto na to, kutakot-takot na hirap, pagod, puyat ang inabot naming mga teachers para makagawa nitong mga materials na to at nag-undergo din kami ng mga training para magawa ito. Especially para sa mga ibang medyo may edad ng professor, mahirap para sa kanila ang technology. Kahit nga ako dahil ako, I used to be a computer programmer before I studied philosophy and theology. Ang una kong pinag-aralan was computer programming and I also worked as a computer programmer for almost 2 years before I entered the seminary. Kahit na ganun pa man, pinahirapan din ako nitong mga technology na to lalo nung ina-adapt namin ang paggawa ng video by using OBS. So what I'm just trying to say, kung ako nahihirapan, nung ipanganak ako may kakambal na akong computer, paano pa yung iba? So hirap na hirap yung mga ibang teacher pero nagtiyaga sila because of their motivation, because of their passion to teach. So with your passion, you are going to be motivated to do things that other people will find almost fantastic, almost impossible. Nakarinig na ba kayo ng nasusunugan ng bahay tapos ay lalamya-lamya, mahina, may sakit. Pero nung nasunog yung bahay, nabuhat yung refrigerator. Di ba? Kinayang buhatin ng refrigerator. What I'm just trying to say is that your feelings, your motivation to save your things will give you that extra push to do whatever it is that you have to do. So, in a way, yung kumbaga sa siga, yung emotions natin panggatong. Yung motivation natin, yun yung apoy. Yung kilos natin, yun yung lagablab ng apoy. Okay? So ano-ano ba yung mga feelings and motivations na magtutulak sa atin para gumawa ng mga bagay-bagay? Okay. Okay, another 3 people are waiting. Let's see. Sa susunod, naku, hindi ko na papapasukin itong mga ito. Ayan. Okay. So, ano-ano ba yung mga feelings na yon? Can you tell me a few feelings or passions that can motivate us to do great things, to even do some sacrifices? Yeah, Jorel?
Yep.
Think about your parents or your guardians, the ones who are working so hard to put you in school. Di ba? Because of their emotion, because of their love, even if they cannot buy new clothes or new toys for themselves, yung mga tatay-tatay ninyo, mahilig yan sa mga toys. Ano ba yung mga toys ng mga tatay? Motorsiklo, kotse, di ba? Yun ang mga toys ng mga lalaki. Toys ng mga nanay, bag, shoes. Pero hindi nila binibili para sa halip ipambili nila yon, ipangbabaon nyo na lang o kaya pambabayad sa tuition fees sa pambili ng libro. That love can make people do sacrifices and give and work. Okay? Kaya sila nagsisikap. Kung hindi man mga magulang nyo, maaaring yung lolo't lola nyo. So those are emotions. And then sometimes there are negative emotions that can make you do something also. Halimbawa, mayroong ipis na lilipad-lipad. Lilipad-lipad. Yung mga babae dyan, si Arian. Kapag ka mayroong ipis na lilipad-lipad sa sa ulunan mo, ano gagawin mo, Arian?
Papatayin pa.
Papatayin yung ipis. So, yung papatay sa ipis. Okay. Matapang si Arian, papatayin yung ipis. Yung mga pamangkin ko, magsisigawan, magtatakbuhan.
Pag lumipad po, tatakbo na.
Alam niyo kung bakit ang ipis nakakatakot? Kasi alam natin
Bakit po, sir?
Alam natin by experience ang mga ipis ay ipis. Alam natin by experience na ang mga ipis ay mahina ang navigation. Mahina sila sa navigation. Lipad ng lipad pero bangga ng bangga. Hindi ma-control ng kanilang flight. Hindi nag-flight simulation course. Kaya pagka lumipad yan, bangga sila ng bangga. Kaya alam natin na kung pwedeng bigla na lang silang lumipad papunta sa bibig mo. Kaya ka natatakot.
Sarap.
So, unpredictable. So, what do you do? Papatayin mo ngayon siya, you are motivated to kill or get out of the room and shout and pray. Okay. Hindi lang emotion yung feelings, ha. Meron ding emotions that are connected to the physical. Katulad ng hunger. Katulad ngayon, kasi medyo kumain ako ng maraming breakfast pero mag-aalas 3 na pala, nagugutom na ako. Kaya medyo nang lalata na ako. So mamaya, pagkatapos ng klase natin, kakain ako. So, it motivates me to eat. Okay? Or hunger can motivate you to work dahil natatakot kang magutom. Okay? So, motivation. Another motivator. One very strong motivator is, what do you think? One other very strong motivator. One other very strong motivator would be, what do you think?
Family.
Family, yes. Love sa family. At bukod doon, sabihin ko na nga.
Crush. Joke lang.
Ha?
Wala ba?
Ayan. Nabasa nyo?
Yes, sir.
Nabasa nyo? Bakit kaya very strong motivation?
Apo, sir.
Sabi nga nila, pwede kang mamatay kapag hindi ka uminom ng tubig at hindi ka kumain. Hindi ka mamamatay kung wala yan. Pero gugustuhin mong mamatay. So, I don't know. Sa akin, baliwala yan eh. Hindi ko pinapansin yan. Walang masyadong epekto sa buhay ko yan. But anyway, so because of that, we are going to study the different uh, types of the mechanism of sex and of course the different disorders, sexual disorders and dysfunctions. Meron mga tao na may mga problema psychologically in expressing their sexual desires. Okay. So, because this is correlated with emotion and motivation, I decided that the physical and the sexual self will be included here. So hindi ko na lang na-edit, pero in my discussion, the physical and the sexual self will be included in the discussion in Module 5. And then, of course, to buy or not to buy, that is the question. This has something to do with our motivation, kung bakit tayo bumibili o bakit gusto nating mag-accumulate ng mga bagay-bagay. Does that define who we are? That does it make us a better person if we have a car, or if our car is of the latest model, or if your bag is Louis Vuitton, or if your shoes is made of is an Italian shoes? Does it make you a different person? Maybe not, but you will feel different. Okay. And then do not just dream, make it happen. Actually, everything starts with a dream, but you cannot just dream your life away. You have to work on it. Okay. Then finally, in Module 7, bago mag-end up ng mag-midterm, kasama to hanggang midterm, sensation and perception. Sensation, these are the our sense organs, giving way, letting the world enter us. Okay, the sense organs allow the world to enter us, to enter our consciousness. So kapag ka wala kang sense organ, para kang you will not develop as a human person kung wala kang sense of smell, kung wala kang sense of hearing, sight, taste. Ano ka? You're just going to be just a bundle of flesh and bone. I do not even know if there would be anything that is going on in your mind because there would be no external input. So I don't know. So sensation is very important. But why do we have to study sensation? In order to understand ourselves and others, because there are people who have different or varying degrees of sensations. Merong mga tao na kulang ang kanilang sense of smell. Merong mga tao na hindi nakakaamoy. There is a medical condition known as asnomia or I think asnomia. Incapability of smell, of smelling anything. Yun. Kung dati ka nakakaamoy tapos hindi ka nakaamoy, ang ibig sabihin, meron ka ng COVID. So, pagka nagkaroon ka ng asnomia ngayon. So, yan, isa sa mga unang symptoms ng COVID ang asnomia. Okay, now the way we see the world and hear the world and sense the world is different than the way the animals would sense it, because we have a different biological architecture than animals. And we also have different biological architecture with other people, because other people would have stronger or lesser sense of smell or hearing or taste. Magkakaiba-iba yan. So you do not, with that understanding, if we do not enforce, okay, we do not insist na ito yan, wag, kasi maaaring yung ibang tao, iba yung panlasa niya. Mapipilitin pakainin siya ng ampalaya kung para sa kanya talagang napakapait nun. Sa akin, ang ampalaya medyo manamis-namis. Pero sa iba talaga hindi. O kaya yung okra. Para sa akin, ang texture ng okra masarap, madulas. Pero yung iba, hindi mo mapapakain ng okra kasi pakiramdam nila habang kinakain nila yung okra, nilalawayan sila ng okra. Another latecomer. Okay, so yan. And then perception also. Our perception is our judgment about what our senses has assimilated. So that's our perception. Okay? So in a way, our understanding about balance of sensation and perception can allow us to understand ourselves and other people. And then we have learning and memory, module 8. Learning and memory, how do we learn? We learn by way of observation, okay? Observational learning. We, uh, we imitate people, even without knowing it, we imitate them. Kaya nga makikita ninyo, we Filipinos are pagka nakita ng mga ibang lahi, no? They get to see how the same we are, okay? In our mannerisms and the way we speak because we imitate by observation. And then also, there is also what we call operant conditioning, that is, we learn by way of the consequences. Kapag ka maganda ang epekto nito sa atin, we tend to do it more. Pagka hindi maganda yung epekto nito sa atin, we tend to avoid doing it. So that's also another type of learning. Ang tawag doon is conditioning. Okay, sa conditioning, meron tinatawag tayong operant conditioning saka classical conditioning, which we are going to study later in Module 8. And then how about fixating those learnings to ourselves, and that becomes possible through memory. Okay, in memory, we have 3 types of memory. Okay, the first one is episodic. Next one is semantic. And then the last one is procedural. How do they differ? We have a memory about episodic or autobiographical memory are memories of things that happen to us. So ito yung kasaysayan natin. Now, when we talk about semantic, this is a memory of things that we learn. So you watch a documentary, you listen to my lesson, you read my modules, you watch my video, that is, and you process that and it becomes part of your memory, ang tawag doon semantic memory. Then how about procedural memory? Procedural memory has something to do with how you do things. Like, for example, the procedure of driving. Okay? Lalo na yung bisikleta. Okay? Kung magbe-bisikleta ka. Hindi ito basta-basta nawawala. Okay? Kahit na nagka-amnesia yung tao, ito yung kahuli-hulihang nawawala. Procedural memory. Yung mga hindi kilala yung sarili nila, most of the times, those people who have amnesia, ang nawawala itong episodic memory. Sometimes the semantic memory and procedural memory stays. Now, the procedural memory, bigla na lang nilang magaling pala silang magsayaw o magkarate. Okay, ganon. However, procedural memory is not verbal. It is non-verbal. Kaya nga, kung magtuturo ka ng pagbibisikleta, kung magbibisikleta ka, tuturuan mo, hindi ka pwede magturo ng pagbibisikleta nang basta ipapaliwanag mo sa tinuturuan mo kung paano bumalanse sa bisikleta. Kinakailangan i-describe mo yan, i-demonstrate mo. Because that is procedural. Okay? Meron din tayong tinatawag na sense memory, short-term memory, at meron din tayong tinatawag na long-term memory, which we are going to study later on in Module 8. Learning to be a better learner. Alam nyo, the things that you are going to remember in your college days will be very, very little. Okay? No matter how hard you study, there are only very few things that you are going to take away with you when you leave college. What is more important here is that you learn to become a better learner. I know I was a very studious student when I was in school. Actually, lahat napakaayos ng mga notes ko. But a majority of those things were not remembered. I do not remember so many of them. So what do? I go back to my notes. So learning to be a better learner is actually knowing how to preserve your knowledge and knowing how to acquire knowledge later on in life. Okay? Then we have module 9, malapit na tayong matapos. Human development theories. This will help you better understand yourself because you would know that there are different stages in a human person, in human life that will enable you to understand why you are at this particular moment. Like for example, we have John Piaget. Si John Piaget will tell us that there are different ways in which a person processes information. Okay? So, stages of learning. Si John Piaget, ituturo niya sa atin yan. So, we're going to discuss John Piaget. And then, about Lawrence Kohlberg. So, another developmental psychologist, Lawrence Kohlberg, will tell us that our sense of morality will change as we mature. So there are 3 stages of moral development and 3 major stages and 6 divisions of moral development. Okay? And then we have Erik Erikson. So si Erikson who will tell us how the psychosocial stages of development of man. Okay, the different psychosocial stages from birth to death. Nagde-develop tayo. So knowing all these stages, we will be able to understand ourselves. Bakit ako ganito? Okay, because I am at this stage of my development. Okay? And then module 10, we will try to understand what kind of personality do we have and how that personality developed in us. And we are going to explore the ideas or the theories of Sigmund Freud. Si Sigmund Freud is considered to be the father of psychoanalysis. Pero may nagsasabi si Carl Jung daw. Actually, itong dalawang to ay magkasabay. While Sigmund Freud, I think sa Sigmund Freud is sa Austria. Okay, anyway. Magkalapit sila, nagkikita yan dalawang yan. Okay? They develop a different psychoanalytic technique pero parehong psychoanalysis yun. And then the 5-factor theory, yung Myers-Briggs, yung MBTI. Magkakaroon tayo ng test. Ita-test ko yung personality type ninyo. Maybe it will help you understand yourself pagka nakita ninyo kung ano yung personality type ninyo. Okay, sa module 10. And then module 11, we are going to see how the self is shaped by the society and culture. Okay. So, bakit paano ang ating personality is influenced by our culture and our society? Alam niyo, tayo mga Filipino are very timid. While people in foreign countries, especially in the Western countries, they are very much forward. Nakita ko, na-observe ko yun eh. Kahit sa mga bata, I was in Sonora. Okay, I was in Sonora. It is a province in Sonora is a province in California. So liblib na lugar yung Sonora. Pero I was staying in the hotel there. I went out of the hotel to smoke kasi ang lamig-lamig eh. So hindi ako makatulog. So I walk around. Alam niyo yung mga strangers kahit sino. Pagka nagkatinginan, babatiin ako, sabi na, how are you doing? How are you doing? Ako naman, panay, good, I'm great, thank you. Dito ba, pagka tayo nagkasalubong, nag-iiwasan ng tingin, nagkakahiyaan, why are we like that and why are those people in other countries so forward? It is because of our society and culture. Okay? In our society and culture, bawal ang mayabang. Pinapagalitan tayo kapag yung mga matatanda. Pagka yung masyadong nag-aayos ng sarili, kapag yung nagsasalita yung bata, pinapagalitan, oh, huwag kang makisali, usapang matanda ito. So, what happened then? Kapag yung lumaki na nade-develop sa kanila yung timidity. In a way, there is this feeling na sa tingin ninyo yung feeling natin that prevents us from becoming assertive. Anyone can answer. Anyone can voice out. Kung nahihiya, pwede isulat sa chat. Anyone? Before I answer my own question. Si Cecilia. Cecilia, tingin mo, ano yung meron tayo sa Pilipino na mga Pilipino na ikinakahiya natin yung sarili natin? Ano yung feeling na yun? Ano yung dahilan kung bakit tayo ganun? Anyone can answer. There are, I think, 39 of you here in this group.
Hindi. Parang hindi. Hindi ko alam. Kala. Mga bang pinakahiya.
Di ba we feel that we are not enough, that we are not good enough? Do you think? Do you think that we
Sabi ko tanong siya.
are good enough? Parang kinakahiya natin yung sarili natin. Am I correct in saying that? Especially if we are going to present ourselves to strangers or to foreigners. We feel that we are not enough, that we are not good enough. Ikinakahiya natin yung mga ilong natin dahil pango. Ikinakahiya natin yung balat natin dahil maitim. Ikinakahiya natin yung height natin dahil 5 foot lang tayo, 5 feet lang tayo. Yung iba hindi pa nga umabot. So that feeling of inadequacy can make us feel timid, can make us act in a timid way. So, yeah. And then, of course, our society and our culture is more like, it's more like always telling us that to suppress the self. Parang mga Japanese, parang mga incheck din. Tayo, kailan lang nawala yung pagkababati tayo, yumuyuko tayo eh. Pero tingnan nyo yung mga Koreano. Hike! Hey! Annyeonghaseyo! Ganun. Annyeonghaseyo! Okay, so ayan. So, we feel that we are inferior. So, we do not assert ourselves enough. I feel so bad about it. Samantalang kinakainggitan nga nila tayo eh. They like us so much. Pagka nakita ng mga Amerikano, ng mga European, oh, Filipinos. Okay? They like us. They want us to be their friends. I'm telling you. I've been in the United States twice and I stayed there for several months. Not as a worker, but as a vacationing. Okay. Doon wala. Dito may makakita sa iyo na namumulot ka ng mga bote. O kaya kahit ikaw mismo ayaw mo may makakita sa iyo na namumulot ka ng mga bote ng purified water. Naiintindihan tayo. But you know what? Ang mga I saw people in the US, katulad ako mismo, ginawa ko yon. Nag-ubote ako Tapos dinadala ko doon sa recycling center. Alam nyo, isang maghapon, half day lang yun, ha. Nakita ko yung mga nagdadatingan, mga naka-Odyssey. Ang gaganda ng mga kotse, naka-SUV. Bagong-bago. Ano inilalabas nila doon sa kotse nila? Sako-sakong mga bote ng mga mineral water. Isinisuot nila doon, nire-recycle. Money, instant money. Ako, didala ko doon, napakadami, ilang biyahe ng ilang sakay ng kotse doon. At the end of the day, half day lang. Naka almost $100 ako. Imagine that. Dito may hiya. Pero doon, they take pride in doing that. Because they do not have that feeling of inferiority. They don't. Okay, anyway, that's our culture. Pero one of the things, very beautiful things about our culture is that we are humble people. We are humble people. And there are plenty of other things that we can say very good about Filipinos. Supernaturals, believe it or not, another topic. So, what are the things that we believe that is other than physical? And then module 12, we have the political self and being Filipino. Being political does not necessarily mean that you are a person who would go and try to get some votes for an office. No, not that. There is a natural tendency in man to organize ourselves into a system na merong namumuno. Okay? That's being political. And also, another thing is to get to be able to have a say in our state of affairs. So being a Filipino requires that you are also political person. How about the separation of church and state? Teka, dapat ba makialam ang mga pare, ang mga madre, ang mga relihiyoso sa politika? Madalas sinasabi yun, ano? Sinasabi nila, oh, huwag ka na magsalita, father, sister, bakit ka nakikialam? There is a separation of church and state. Teka muna. Ito yung sagot dito. Malaking tanong dito. Bakit? Hindi ba kami Pilipino? Hindi ba sila Pilipino? And as a Filipino, they have that duty to be political, to speak out. Okay? So, Module 13, who am I in the cyber world? The digital self. Alam nyo, itong, if you are going to examine how you are representing yourself to your digital counterpart, nakikita ninyo, you're going to discover something. Do you present everything about yourself in social media? I don't think so. There are some parts of you that you keep hidden. Yes. There are some parts of you that you don't want people to see. And there are some parts of you that you want people to be that you want people to see in you, that you wanted to be emphasized and highlighted. Na umiinom ka ng milk tea, na umiinom ka ng kape sa Starbucks. Yun ang gusto mong ipakita, na namamasyal ka sa mall o kaya sa beach. Okay. That you have a new cell phone, yan. Okay? That you have the latest gadget. That you have a branded shirt. Masama. Okay, mosimo pala. Yan ang ipinapakita mo. Hindi nila alam, overrun lang yan. Alam niyo yung overrun? Okay. So, who are you in the cyber world? In your digital self? Alam nyo, this is your ideal self actually. Pero there are things also, yung makikita mo doon, your digital self is also a representative of your repressed self. Yung hindi mo, yung wala kang yung hindi ka wala kang lakas ng loob para yung wala kang lakas ng loob para ipakita mo ng harapan, nire-repress mo kasi hindi mo maipakita ito na ganyan ka pala. Okay? Na ikaw pala ay bakla or tomboy, o ikaw pala ay manyak, o kaya ay sobrang mael. Okay. Ngayon, gagawa ka ngayon ng fake accounts. At yun, ilalabas mo dun yung mga kabulastugan mo, yung repressed self mo na hindi mo maipakita kapag sa harapan. Digital self. Some kind of it is some kind of an avatar, okay? Some kind of another representative of you. So it will give dito mo mailalabas. And you have to be careful about this because there are some people lalo yung baka may galit sa iyo ganyan. Tapos bigla na lang sinisiraan ka sa social media tapos hindi mo siya kilala. It can be other people whom you know pero they are representing themselves as a digital personality. Yan. So repressed self, lumalabas yan sa cyber world. So you have to be careful. Then less stress, more care, psychological disorders and interventions. Alam nyo, in our time and age now, there are plenty of things that can make us psychologically imbalanced. And one of the things that is emerging right now as the #1 psychological illness is also something that I have. Yeah, I am actually undergoing treatment therapy for that. So, may intervention na ginagawa para matulungan ako. So, I am very much knowledgeable in psychology, but I also seek the help of psychologists in order to get some help. So, ayun, intervention yon. I have anxiety and depression. I have that. Pero, self-care, I recognize that and I sought help. So, importante din sa inyo because at one point in your life o baka naranasan nyo na, kasalukuyang nararanasan o mararanasan pa lang because our world now is actually quite toxic. No? Medyo toxic ang mundo, napaka-demanding, okay, ng mundo. And because of that, it can lead us into different psychological issues, problems, no? So you have to be aware of the different psychological disorders, and if you are knowledgeable about those things, you would know when to seek for help. So dito, pag-aaralan natin kung ano-ano ang iba't ibang psychological disorders. Now, hindi lahat ng psychological disorder ay nakakatakot. Oh yeah, nakakatakot siya, pero hindi lahat ay yung mababaliw ka, mawawala ka sa sarili mo. Okay, iba yon. Psychosis yon, hindi yun personality disorder. Kapag psychosis, you are already out of touch. You cannot control your thinking anymore. That's psychosis. Yun yung mga sociopath, okay? Yun yung mga serial killer, yun yung mga rapists. Those are sociopaths, okay? Sociopaths and psychopaths, yun ang mga dangerous, okay? Now, as regards psychological disorders, you can have anxiety, depression, bipolar. You can have PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. And of course, we are going to discuss the different ways with which it can be medicated or intervened into. So how can people or how can these psychiatrists and psychologists will be able to help you? So you can go and ask for intervention. So less stress, more care. All right. So that's for Module 14, and that's going to be my goodbye gift to all of you because we need to have a very good psychological health. Speaking of psychological health, ako nga talaga, di ba? I have been teaching psychology. I studied psychology. I went through different trainings and seminars about psychology. But I myself, I am also undergoing psychological treatment. Okay? And a lot of psychologists too. Okay. Pati mga doctor, mga psychiatrists, they are also undergoing their own psychological treatment. Isa sa mga magandang paraan para kayo ay to grow in your maturity and wisdom is to start writing your ideas. Okay? So, magkaiba yan sa diary. Sa diary kasi ang isusulat ninyo ay mga nangyayari sa buhay nyo. Pero dito sa journal, kung ano yung reflection nyo, yung mga insights ninyo tungkol sa mga pangyayari sa buhay at sa nagaganap sa kasalukuyan. So, you are going to write your reflections. This is actually going to be some kind of a repository of your crystallized knowledge. Ano yung crystallized knowledge? May nalaman ka, may na-experience ka, and then you realize how this is going to be useful for you in the future or yung aral ng iyong karanasan. So they are going to be, they are not simply knowledge, they are not simply experience, they are wisdom. Okay? So sabi nga, kung naghahanap ka ng wisdom, okay, kumausap ka ng matanda. Kasi ang matanda, marami ng karanasan. Okay. And they have accumulated so many. Now, these nuggets of reflections and insights are not permanent. So not all of that will remain in you. They come and they go. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng ephemeral. Okay? Temporary. Pag sinabi natin ephemeral, temporary. They are fleeting. Nawawala. So in order to avoid that, sayang naman pagka nawala, you write them down in the journal. Okay? So I am not going. Microphone, please. Microphone, please. Okay. So, pakipatay po yung... Okay. Yung iba, yung microphone ng iba... Okay. So, microphone, pakipatay. All right. So, unethical for me to read journal because it is journal. So, I cannot ask journal. Pakihanap nga po kung sino yung maingay yung microphone. Pakipatay naman. Okay. Hindi na yata nakikinig kung sino man yon. Ayan. Ayan. Isa. May nakita na ako. Okay. Okay. Kasi nagpi-feedback sa akin yung sinasabi ko bumabalik sa akin. Okay, kapag buhay yung microphone niyo dahil yung speaker niyo malakas. All right. So, I cannot ask you to submit your journal. So, honesty system na lang to. What I can do is that from time to time I can interview some of you and ask how you are doing with your journaling. Okay? When we talk about psychology, we refer to the study of the mind. Okay? Study of the mind and along with the aspects of mind or the things that the mind does, ano yung ginagawa ng utak, and that is perception. Perception, when we talk about perception, it refers to the way we see things, all right? So we may perceive a few things to be different than others. And then cognition is, when we talk about cognition here, it refers to the process of thinking. Okay? And then, katulad na sabi ko kanina, I don't know kung sa inyo sinabi yun, nasaan ang puso ninyo? Nasaan ba ang puso?
Sa dibdib.
Wala, sa dibdib ang puso. Ang puso ay nasa,
Sa dibdib.
okay?
Dib.
Ang emotion ninyo, ang ating emotion, our emotions are seated in our brain. Okay? And then, of course, behavior. So these are the things that psychology studies. Behavior, your manner of thinking, of course, the manner with which you perceive things. And in some ways, psychology has been around even before the proponent, those people who are thought to be the fathers, founding fathers of psychology. Pakipatay yung inyong microphone. Microphones, please. Okay. So it has been around for some time, even before Sigmund Freud, even before William James and Carl Jung. It has been around. People are interested about behavior, about personality. So come to think about those troglodytes. No? Do you know who are troglodytes? Alam nyo ba kung ano ibig sabihin ng troglodytes? Troglodytes are people in the Stone Age people, mga cavemen, cave women. They would probably sit around fire and talk about things like how come these people are acting that way? What makes Dudong so shy? Why is it that Mac is different now when that rock hit him in the head? So people are interested about human behavior even during the dawn of time. Okay, meaning to say simula't simula pa lang. Okay? And up to now, people are still talking about why people are acting that way. Meron nga mga espesyalista diyan eh. Okay, those specialists like sa umaga pa lang ay pinag-uusapan na yung buhay ng iba, mga chismologists. May mga doctorate sa chismology. Okay. But as a science, we have psychology that really tries to study human behavior in a scientific way. Now, what is a scientific way? A scientific way is an attempt to study with an explicit promise to really think about things in as logical and empirical as possible. So logical, it follows some kind of thinking discipline, and empirical, it based on things that can be observed, okay, observable. Can you read what I am writing here? Observable and measurable, and also quantifiable. Okay. Also those things that are quantifiable. All right. So other science are more successful in this area, logical and empirical, tulad ng chemistry, physics, biology, and so on. Pero doon sa psychology, medyo mahihirapan pa rin tayo. For the simple reason that men as a subject of study is harder to study and less cooperative. Okay? Less cooperative. It is really very difficult to study or to research the researcher or to psychoanalyze the psychoanalyst. Diba? To study the very thing that studies. Tao yung pinag-aaralan mo eh. It is not as cooperative as some kind of green gunk that you can put in a test tube and observe. Okay. Hindi tayo papayag na ilagay tayo sa test tube. Okay. So you see, in psychology, we still have a long way to go in order to be able to understand everything about human behavior. But we are getting there. Okay? The mystery of human behavior, the mystery of human personality is being unveiled little by little. We have some experiments and studies that are going on, and we are developing some therapeutic techniques to also heal people who have some psychological disorder. So, as I've said, this is not as advanced as other medical fields, but we are getting there. We are getting there. Talagang medyo mahirap ang psychiatry, medyo mas mahirap ang psychology. Because, yun nga, people are really very difficult to study. But sooner rather than later, we are going to get there, and this thing that we are doing right now is as good a place as any to start. I think the things that we are talking about here will lead us somewhere. All right, so next topic, importance of self-understanding. How important is it to understand ourselves? Si Socrates sabi niya, know thyself. Okay. Know thyself. Kilalanin mo ang sarili mo. And then dinugtungan pa niya, sabi niya, a life not reflected upon is not worth living. Yung buhay daw na hindi mo pinag-iisipan at pinagninilayan buhay na walang kwenta. Another writer said, Jiddu Krishnamurti, if you begin to understand what you are without trying to change it, then what you are undergoes a transformation. Okay. Isipin nyo, ano ba ibig sabihin ni Krishnamurti rito? If you begin to understand what you are without trying to change it, then still what you are still undergoes transformation. What do you think was Krishnamurti is trying to tell us? That the moment that we begin to understand who we are actually being changed. Nagbabago pa rin tayo. So, hindi mo talaga mahuhuli ang sarili mo. You cannot put yourself in a bottle, different boxes under different categories. Because we are all always undergoing change. Constant change. You see, when I wake up this morning, the Professor Lito San Jose that woke up this morning, and the Professor Lito San Jose who is talking to you right now is no longer the same person. Some of the things in me have already changed. I was changed by the experiences that I have had since this morning, by the food that I ate, by the medicines that I took, by the breath that I breathe, by the air that I breathe, by the changes in the molecules of my body. I am changing constantly and so are you. Kaya nga sabi, if you are going to be asked the question, who are you? Then, kung pilosopo ka, pwede mong isagot, how am I supposed to answer you? I have changed so much since you asked me that question. Since the moment that you asked me that question, we have been constantly changing. So, the root of all change starts with self-understanding. If you don't understand yourself, your efforts will be lost and spent on things that are actually not under your control. So we have to understand that the self is always in a constant change. But even if it is constantly changing, we also have the responsibility to understand what little we can understand about ourselves. All right. Now, let's go to this. This is something that I would like to challenge you with. Are you still here and listening to me?
Yes po.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Opo.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yes po. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes po.
I have provided you with an essay written by William Stodger. Kung gusto ninyong mabasa yung essay sa mismong website nito, ayan, nakalagay dito yung hyperlink, no? But for those who do not have or who have limited access to the internet, minabuti ko na i-cut and paste na rin dito. So this essay entitled The Quest for Understanding and Meaning, From Process and Complexity to Meaning and the Transcendent. This is not a very easy essay to understand. However, this is not so difficult naman. So I am just trying to strike a balance here that you guys will have to start somewhere na hindi lang basta puro madadali ang kayang basahin. So you have to be able to prove that you are growing, that you can also take some solid food. And this is a good essay to start as any. So this essay will require you to really read it several times and use different methods to understand. So pwedeng habang binabasa ninyo ay nagno-note kayo, gumagawa kayo ng sariling explanation how you understand it. Okay? So, I'm going to guide you. Bibigyan ko kayo ng konting guidance. This essay is about the history of how humanity, how men tried to gain understanding of things. Okay? Of things, about everything. And give meaning to those things. Because man by nature has a meaning-giving existence. We have a meaning-giving existences. Hinahanapan natin talaga ng kahulugan, kabuluhan ang bawat mga pangyayari sa buhay. Yun ang pagiging tao eh. Kaya nga itong pandemic na COVID-19. We are trying to make sense out of this pandemic. Why did it happen to us? Where is it leading us? What is the deeper meaning of suffering this pandemic? So man, by nature, has a meaning-giving existence. And we try to understand so that we can give it proper meaning. Now, from process and complexity, from the different ways with which man tried to understand things, to the complexity of more disciplined subjects like taxonomy, sciences like archaeology, like anthropology, physics, etc. So, yun ang mga complexity. The process may be crude and even horrifying at the start. So, we can actually include in that process those things that are macabre. Okay, macabre. Ito, macabre. Baka hindi nyo alam ang spelling eh. Macabre. Hindi siya macabre, ha? Walang magbabasa sa inyo na macabre. That is macabre. And what is the meaning of macabre? Anyone? Okay. So macabre can be shocking or horrifying. So the first scientist would even dig graves in order to find out what is inside the human body. So dinadissect nila, ninanakaw nila yung mga patay. Some would even try some kind of pseudo-scientific method like employing rituals, magic, and pseudo-science like alchemy. Alchemy is a pseudo-science because it is some kind of chemistry, pero it is pseudo-science because in alchemy you try to convert an ordinary metal into gold, and it was not possible. So hindi siya naging science talaga. Pero before it was considered as a science. But anyway, a lot of methods have been embraced, from the macabre to the more sophisticated ones. And later on, we adopted the sophisticated ones. But until now, there are some people who have been employing macabre methods, okay? Kahit na napaka-modern na natin, there are people who are doing something horrible or shocking. You will be surprised to know. Okay, and as we get to be able to understand more, disciplines emerge, such as disciplines about natural sciences, philosophy, theology, and these are known as the different forms of knowledge. Okay, now our knowledge about the world has led us into understanding more, but it also led us into a kind of Pandora's box of more mystery and questions. So meaning to say that the more we understand and learn about things, the more that we face more, the more that we realize that there are more mysteries and questions that waiting to be solved and discovered. Okay. Pakipatay yung microphone. So, as we get to understand things, we give meaning, and we recognize those things that are still mysterious. Okay, so you have to analyze these things in the essay. And then we also explore the universe, and we get to be able to understand. Right now we have an understanding of the universe that its starting point is the Big Bang. The Big Bang that initiated our biological evolution. Just a minute. Big Bang is a point of unity, in time, okay? Wherein everything in the universe is concentrated in a single point. It was pure energy, but because of the immensity of this energy, it could not contain itself, and so it exploded. Okay? And quickly, as it explodes, the universe expands. And as it expands, it cools. Okay? This is very intensely hot nung umpisa. As it expands, it cools, and as time goes by, billions of years later, it is still expanding to the unknown parts of the cosmos. So, lumalayo ang bawat heavenly body sa bawat isa, the galaxies, the quasars, the pulsars, the stars. It keeps on expanding, and new stars are being born, while old stars are being eaten by black holes, etc. We do not know. Um, and then there will come a time that it will again reach the point where the expansion can no longer be sustained, and it will begin to stop expanding and start attracting each other once again, going back to the point of unity, wherein we are all going to be reduced into this into this ball of energy. So these are the key features of the universe as we understand it now. Now, you might ask, is this really correct? I am not sure. But for now, this is one of the most logical way of looking at things. Now, it is not. This is not something that would disagree with the Bible or with our faith. No, it does not disagree with that. Nowhere in the Bible does it say na walang Big Bang theory. Nowhere in the Bible na sinabi na yung 7 days creation, okay, ay actually yun talaga ang naganap, no? What was being said there was that the 7 days creation, it was just a conveyor of message that God is the author. Ang Diyos ang pinagmulan ng lahat. Okay? So if God chose to create us and the world by Big Bang, okay, who are we to question that? Okay, why should we not accept that? Kaya nga tayo binigyan ng Diyos ng intelligence so that we will be able to take a peep, makasilip tayo sa katotohanan. All right, so this is what is being discussed. That is what is discussed in this part, okay? Cosmic revolution, okay? And this one, features of the universe. Yun ang mga pinapakita dito, stages of cosmic evolution. So, as you read, try to understand this thing in that context. So, these are the general stages of cosmic evolution, Big Bang, and then we have inflation. Inflation, yung rapid expansion. And then, together with the rapid expansion is the supercooling of the universe. Kasi nung simula, napakainit talaga, mainit na mainit. Because it was pure energy, okay? But as it expands, it is also being cooled, okay? The universe actually outside our atmosphere without spacesuits, magiging yellow ka kagad. Okay, mag-yellow ka kagad. In the vacuum of space, it is very cold. So, we exit from inflation and then, so ito yung kasunod niya, exit from inflation and then the reheating of the universe. So, mula dun sa expansion, pabalik naman ang movement. Okay? Pabalik ang movement. Yan. Okay? Sana nakatingin kayo dito sa sinashare ko yung screen, ha? Okay? So, another thing, we have late classical cosmological evolution. Okay, and then it talks about the structure formation of galaxies or clusters of galaxies and stars. Okay, and these are heavy scientific stuff, helium and lithium. Okay, kahit hindi nyo na maintindihan yan, ako din hindi ko naintindihan eh. Okay, so then we have the uninstructed chemical evolution. When we talk about uninstructed chemical evolution, when chemicals and organisms are changing and evolving without interference from man, that is what we call uninstructed. It's the natural way of organisms evolving, uninstructed chemical evolution. So this is this explains how from simple proteins, okay, from those simple proteins, floating or amino acids floating in the ocean, on oceans, nag-form ang mga unang more complex life forms like algae, okay, and amoeba. And then from there on, nag-form ng mga simple fish, and then naging giant fish, and then nagkaroon ng mga uri ng mga fish na they can both live in water and in dry lands. And then some of these species stayed in the dry lands, and from there on, nag-evolve into different forms of animals. And then on, we have the primates, and from that primates, we have the Homo sapiens, and it is us. Okay? So yun, uninstructed chemical evolution. Yun yung sinasabi dito. Okay. Sir, si Sir naniniwala sa evolution. Hindi ba siya di ba nagdasal kami kanina? Di ba naniniwala siya sa Diyos kasi nagdasal kami kanina? Of course, naniniwala ako sa Diyos. Okay? But what I am telling you right now, this theory of evolution is not contradictory to our faith. Okay? Hindi ito contradictory to our faith. Actually, it is really something that contributes to our faith. Okay? So, walang contradiction dito. So, please, yung mga nag-iisip ng ganyan. Merong mga taong simbahan na gusto kong halos patayin ako pagka pinapaliwanag ko to. Hindi nila matanggap. Sabihin niya, brother ang tawag sa akin sa simbahan eh. Brother, ibig mo sabihin, tinatanggap mo na galing tayo sa unggoy? Opo, sabi ko. Kung galing nga tayo sa unggoy, ano magagawa natin? Yun ang gusto ng Diyos na paraan para tayo i-create. Ang importante, ginawa tayo ng Diyos. Kung sa paanong paraan, hindi na natin yun. Hindi na tayo dapat mangelam. Okay? Okay, and then we have instructed chemical evolution. This is something like there is some kind of human interaction here that chemicals, okay, organisms are tinkered by men. And so, yung mga DNA, RNA niya binago ng tao to improve, to give, to make it better. So meron tayong mga engineered livestock. Engineered livestock. So yung mga kinakain nating mga karne, engineered na yan. Yung mga manok na kinakain natin na ang lalaki, matataba, matatambok ang mga laman, engineered yan. Ang tataba, ang lalaki, pero ilang ano lang sila. Ilang linggo lang pinalaki yun. Those are engineered livestock. And then pati mga prutas, ganun din, engineered. And now, people are also going to be engineered. There is a science that is emerging that now that we have mapped the entire human genome, the entire human DNA, we can already make some modifications to the babies that we wanted to have. Okay? So that is instructed chemical evolution. Instructed chemical evolution. And then biological evolution, that happened katulad ng what happened to SARS-CoV-2. SARS-CoV, the predecessors of SARS-CoV was never able to infiltrate humans. Hindi ito nakakakapit sa tao before. So hindi ito naging problema noon. But because of biological evolution or kung totoo yung sinasabi nila that it was engineered by some people, then yung SARS-CoV virus was given the ability to attach themselves to human, okay? So whether it is biological evolution or instructed chemical evolution, nagkaroon ng evolution. But I would like to believe that it is a biological evolution rather than blaming the Chinese na gumawa sila ng ganitong klaseng virus, no? So as a biological evolution, nag-evolve siya naturally, and now ngayon tinatabla na tayo nitong SARS-CoV. Now, tayo ding mga tao will also have some kind of biological evolution because at some point, all people, even without the vaccine, will develop herd immunity. That when enough people had been infected by the virus, okay, the virus will not be able to survive and proliferate as adamantly as it is doing now dahil marami ng immune. Okay? And then the next generation may be born with a natural immunity to this COVID-19. So yun ay tinatawag nating biological evolution. We are adapting, okay? Malas lang natin, sa panahon natin, bago ito, novel coronavirus, bago, nung lumabas, madali tayong tamaan. Okay? Madali tayong tinamaan, madali tayong naapektuhan. Okay, so that's biological evolution. And then we have cultural evolution that in history, we are evolving socially, politically, religiously, economically, our economic structure. Our ideas are also evolving, our literature, arts, and sciences. All these things are changing and undergoing some kind of paradigm shift or a different way of seeing things. Okay? And then this one, number 4, it will deal with the constraints imposed by and the limitations of the natural sciences. So, what are the things that the natural sciences will not be able to address? There are plenty, okay? There are plenty. And such as, for example, how can you give meaning to things? Even if all the natural sciences is capable of explaining things in a natural way, but how about its significance? This one is the era of logos. Okay, logos. This is a Greek word, okay? Kaya I use a Greek alphabet. But then of course, the arena of mythos, okay? The arena of the mythos, is sandali lang guys ha. Pupuntahan ko lang ang nanay ko. May inuutos yata. Ang hirap na nandito sa ano. Ang hirap. Sandali lang ha.
Sige po.
Umuulan, sir. Magpapaano?
Sige, sir.
Sana all pwede mag-excuse.
Ay, nako. Akala ko anong sasabihin. Gusto lang pala ako makita. Maghapon na kasi ako dito sa kwarto. Okay. My mother is already 91 years old and she can no longer walk. So, binubuhat na namin. Uupo lang siya sa kanyang binilan ko siya ng ng lazy boy, yung recliner. And then, palipat-lipat lang siya sa higaan saka doon sa recliner niya, and then going back and forth, naka-wheelchair. Ang hirap din pagka tumatanda. Okay, so yun. So anyway, so these are the limitations of the natural sciences. It can give us the why, it can give us the why, it can give us the how, but it will not be able to tell us the why. Okay, and that is the arena of the mythos. Okay, lagpasan na natin yan na baka wala na kayong gawin pagka pinaliwanag ko sa inyo lahat. Okay, encountering mystery and the sacred, how we engage reality. So the more that, ito ang maganda, no? The more that you encounter and understand reality, you encounter mystery and the sacred. Ayan. Do you know that Albert Einstein became a very religious person because of his great understanding of the natural sciences? Hindi siya tawag dito. Hindi siya at first a religious person, but the more that he understands the world, the physical nature, the natural sciences, there he began to appreciate the presence, no, the necessity of God, the necessity of the presence of God. Then yung sa physics, there is a book that I read long time ago, but I still remember it. It explains that the physicists beyond physics, metaphysics, they find God. Physics, I think the title is Physics and the Dancing Woolly Masters. Physics and the Dancing Woolly Masters, not monsters. And then there is another book that is really very nice. It also engages our reason, and it also engages knowledge about science and reason, and then the transcendent. We have this Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Right now, I bought another book. I haven't read it yet. Ayun sa sa bookshelf ko. Zen of Zombie. Zen of Zombie. These things are actually in the way we these things are actually explaining that as we engage reality, we encounter the mysteries, the mysterious, and the sacred. Meaning to say that more the more that we understand the world, the natural sciences, the more that we appreciate and understand the necessity of God. Na imposible ang lahat ng ito without God. Yan. Any from you, okay, any thoughts from you? Meron bang gustong magsalita, mag-share ng idea nila? O may mga tanong ba at this point? Hello, are you still there?
Wala po, sir.
Gustong sabihin o gustong i-clarify? May tanong ba kayo?
Wala po.
Naintindihan ba yung sinasabi ko?
Yes po, sir. Naintindihan po.
Sa inyo ang pinaka-positive na lecture na ginawa ko ngayong maghapon na to kasi nadoble yung oras nyo. Anyway, sa sobrang relax ko naman, hindi ko napansin na 40 minutes na lang pala natin pinasatin. Okay. Okay, so bibilisan ko na ha. So ito kailangan yung basahin. So ito, now, the transition from mythos to logos. Transition from mythos to logos. Ito na yung sinabi ko kanina. Before, men are trying to make sense of the world and the phenomenon that is happening to the world by saying that this is done by God. It is because of the action of the God. Or it is because of the action of the Spirit. Okay? So, ginagamit nito pag-explain para magkaroon ng kasi di ba nga man by nature abhors vacuum, abhor vacuum. We do not want to not to understand. We are not comfortable not understanding, di ba? Hindi tayo komportable na hindi na meron tayong hindi naiintindihan eh. So we always want to be able to understand. But because of the limitation of the sciences back then, mythos was popular popular form of explaining things, mythos. But then, of course, time came, uh, transitioned into logos. This is scientific way of scientific way, and this scientific way is took the form of course, the early sciences and philosophies. Okay. The first people who took it seriously was Thales of Miletus, yan, the Milesian philosophers in the a town in Ionia. So ang tawag din sa kanila ay Ionian philosophers. Okay, so sila Thales, si Anaximenes, si Anaximander, si Anaxagoras, si Anaxalabas. Oops, joke lang, walang Anaxalabas. Si Heraclitus, okay? Ito sila, hinanap nila yung quintessential substance. They look at the quintessential substance. Okay, let's look at the quintessential substance. Like this is, muulan, no? Muulan. Dali ng phone yun. Okay, they look at the RK or the quintessential substance. Yun bang kapag ka na-reduce mo lahat sa pinakasimpleng form ang lahat ng bagay, magkakapare-pareho na tayo. So they try to search for that. Ano yung pagkalahat ng bagay, even non-material, is reduced to its simplest element. Everything will be the same. So these people tried to come up with several ideas. Some of them, katulad ni Thales, I think he said that it was water. And then si Heraclitus, sabi niya fire. Si Anaxagoras, I think sinabi niya is the apeiron or the unlimited boundless. Si Democritus, sabi niya atom. Si Pythagoras, sabi niya numbers. Okay. So they hope that getting to be able to know the quintessential substance or the primary element in which everything is made of, we will start being able to understand who we are and what is our role in the cosmos. What is our significance? Ayan. So yun ang kanilang preoccupation back then. Okay. So here in this part, the differences between mythos and logos, I want you to study this part, okay? And then these are the first empirical attempts. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina, yung RK, okay? They are the RK. The keyword here is RK. Maraming maraming name na ginamit dito eh. RK, Hyle, okay? Dito nagsimula yung word na hylozoism, okay? And then sa German, meron din tayong Urstock. Okay? So sa English, basic stuff. Basic stuff. So napaka-popular niyan noong panahon na yon. Dito nagsimula ang scientific study. Alright? Oops! Wala na. Tapos na. Yun na lang yun. Okay, so in your journal, okay? In your journal, I want you to answer this. So this is going to go to your journal. This will go to your journal, itong activity na ito. I will not check that, pero it will be for your personal growth, ha? So,
Sir, may tanong lang po.
Tatanong.
About po sa journal, sa notebook lang po ba ilalagay yung journal o bibili po talaga ng sariling journal?
Kahit na magtahi lang kayo ng mga ng mga bond paper na yung yung nasa likod ay walang sulat, okay na 'yon.
Sige po.
Basta maikikip niyo hanggang sa mamatay kayo din, di ba? Yun ang importante. Meron
Sige
yung
po.
meron bumibili ng mga mamahaling journal, hindi naman sinusulatan. Ang importante yung nakasulat, hindi yung sinusulatan. Ha?
Okay.
Okay.
Salamat po.
Okay, welcome. Sino ba ikaw? Okay, so this one, your number 1, this is your...
Sir, pwede printed.
oh, yeah. Ako, ang journal ko printed eh. Andito sa desktop ko, nasa laptop ko yung journal ko. So, every time na meron akong inspiration...
Okay po, sir. Thank you.
Okay? So, kung saan...
Pwede din po handwritten, sir.
Ha? Yeah. Oo, hindi nyo
Handwritten po, pwede.
Pwede. Hindi nyo naman isasubmit sa akin yan, di ba? Sabi ko, yung journal is for your personal growth. That's for your personal growth. So, ito yung assignment ninyo. This is a requirement for the requirement. First part lang to, ha. Meron pa mga kasunod to. Read the essay, The Quest for Understanding and Meaning, From Process and Complexity to Meaning and the Transcendent, and write in your own words its key ideas. Use bulleted format and present your output in logical order. So, first part pa lang yan. First part yon. So, gawin nyo na to, ha? And then, itong number 2 will go to your journal again. Okay? Okay? No. Hindi pala pang journal yung number 2. Okay, number 2 wag na. Okay? Wag na. Alam ko marami kayong subject. So, I just want you to concentrate on the important things. Okay?
Okay po.
Thank you po.
Sir, okay, sir.
Okay po, sir.
Thank you po,
Thank you po.
Love you po.
Thanks po.
Okay, so tatapusin ko na yung napakahaba nating klase. Lang tayo, ha? Tawag dito. I will take your pictures.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Picturean ko kayo. Stop share. Okay. Okay, nandito na lahat. Kukuhanin ko yung attendance ninyo. Then stop ko na rin yung recording. By the way, sinabi ko naman sa inyo that I am recording our session. So by this time, I am formally stopping the recording.